The saga continues. New tonight on Our News, live at 7. A clash of protesters happening in Rawson Square ahead of a high-profile corruption trial. But the protests over renewed calls for the immigration minister's resignation. This as the chairman of the governing PLP tells MPs, keep your heads down. And a peculiar situation on a repatriation flight as a woman faints on board. Then in Our News at 7:30, the head of the Electrical Workers Union is crying unfair treatment. He's asking power company execs for a seat at the table. Our News live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to Our News live at 7. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Candino Knowles. We apologize for the late start, but as always, thanks so much for staying with us. The Keith Bell saga continuing in Rawson Square today in a showdown of protesters. The action leading to the delay of the highly anticipated corruption trial of Long Island MP Adrian Gibson. Free National Movement supporters were out calling for the removal of Immigration Minister Keith Bell, while a group of his supporters had some words of their own. Jamila Mizik gets us caught up tonight.
Familiar chants for the removal of Immigration Minister Keith Bell from the opposition Free National Movement outside Parliament Monday. Opposition leader Michael Pintard leading the charge and raising questions about national security.
We don't know if if in the future there will be issues of persons who engage in terrorism. And are we letting them in? Are we making them whole with work permits without knowing the full details? So we are very concerned about human trafficking.
This is the third public demonstration staged by the FNM against Bell. The Coalition of Independents also joining the condemnation of Bell's recent decision to grant 3 people citizenship at a funeral. Former Foreign Affairs Minister and FNM Senator Darren Henfield calling for accountability among Bell's peers.
The Cabinet of the Bahamas is governed under what we call collective responsibility. So Keith Bell cannot be on his own, acting as he feels and sees fit, but his colleagues simply being quiet. Are they in agreement with him?
These protesters of residents say they just want him gone.
I'm ashamed of the guy who represents Carmichael, and to me, he should resign.
Country comes first before an MP. MP comes and MP goes. But you have to remember, you have to stand up from the people of the Bahamas.
It was far from a one-sided protest as Bell supporters showed up sparking a shouting match. The man at the center of the protest using the opportunity to embrace supporters.
So you have no comment on your supporters out here?
What has been illegal what he has done? He has simply given an advice and followed directives. What is illegal? Nothing.
Now, that wasn't the only member of Parliament that the Free National Movement found an issue with.
We know that Alfred Sayers ought to go, and we know that Jobette Colby has a multiplicity of issues.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Jamila. Now, just to give you some perspective about today's protest, it follows a press conference late Sunday evening where the Free National Movement produced a memo written by Director of Immigration Keturah Ferguson to Permanent Secretary Cecilia Strawn about Bell's alleged interference in the department over the detention of Chinese workers at British Colonial Hotel. We'll have more on this coming up in Our News at 7:30. Meanwhile, PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell says the immigration minister and others need to remain silent on the issue. His reasoning: the country is split on issues of immigration, and he believes no minister can have a logical argument.
The safest choice for PLPs is, in all circumstances, something I said to the accused MP: keep your counsel, keep your head down, do your work. You can't straighten out any bet in some things. And the folk who oppose us are not interested in the truth. Their bounden duty is simply to cause confusion, so let's not fall into that trap.
All right, and his comments come as both the Free National Movement and Coalition of Independents have released startling documents about how more than 64 nationals were released at the British Colonial Hotel. It's been revealed that Bell superseded senior immigration officials and released the foreigners without the proper documentation. Mitchell says what happened isn't out of the ordinary.
Leader of the opposition, Michael Pintard, knows it. The former Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, knows it. Yet they would pretend that what transpired is somehow some big, unforgivable faux pas. It is made worse by the fact that there's no buffer between the decision maker and the event. The rules, the conventions, the practices are the best defense. they're neutral, they're normative, and they work.
All right, and that demonstration outside the Supreme Court today prompting a judge to delay the start of the Adrian Gibson corruption trial amid concerns the protests would prevent a fair trial. We'll get to that in just a bit. But first, a medical emergency on board a Bahamas air repatriation flight to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, leading to a delay. Over 270 Haitian nationals boarded the jet, but after the plane was loaded, a woman fainted. Assistant Director of Immigration, Rudolph Ferguson.
There was a medical emergency whereby a lady, we understand, would have passed out on the flight. Medical attention was given to that particular individual, and that individual is now being taken off the flight. And that was the concern by the crew on the aircraft. I was certainly on the aircraft myself, so was most of you, and it felt quite cool in that on that aircraft. So we don't know what the medical issues are at this time. We will certainly, the medical team will assess that, and then we will go from there.
Were they fed and given water and stuff?
Oh, certainly.
All right, now the Haitian nationals were caught by the U.S. Coast Guard near Keysal Bank on July 15th. Ferguson sending this stern warning.
Our team from enforcement constantly on a 24-hour basis doing investigations, doing checks, roadblocks. It is a constant effort from Grand Bahama in the north to Inagua in the south. Wherever we find illegal migrants, we will come after you.
All right, and we are now learning that the woman in question has since died. A statement that we're just getting from the Department of Immigration moments ago saying the Doctors Hospital emergency medical team arrived by ambulance to provide further medical assistance, but by that time, the statement says the female migrant had already died. The doctor reported the time of death at 9:23 this morning. The statement says the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Haitian Embassy have been advised. May her soul rest in peace. Meanwhile, over on Eleuthera, a Haitian national is dead there after drowning in a pool at a resort on Sunday. Police say they received reports a man was found submerged at the bottom of an 8-foot pool at the property located on Colebrook Street in Harbour Island. Police say the victim, who was an employee of the resort, was retrieved from the pool and the local medical team administered CPR but was unable to revive him. Police say no foul play is suspected. And now to the corruption trial of Long Island MP Adrian Gibson, which suffered another delay. Following that demonstration outside the Supreme Court this morning, the judge put off the start of the trial amid concerns the protests would prevent a fair trial. Protesters dressed in Progressive Liberal Party regalia chanted, "Adrian gotta go," before jury selection took place. Justice Cheryl Grant Thompson said the incident caused her some worry and would not proceed with jury selection. Gibson is accused of receiving $1.1 million in kickbacks from contracts awarded by the Water and Sewage Corporation while he served as its executive chairman. He's charged along with Elwood Donaldson, the corporation's former general manager, Jerome Mizik, Peaches Farquharson, Joanne Knowles, and Rashay Gibson, his cousin. For the latest on this, be sure and stay tuned to ournews.bs and Our News Bahamas on Facebook. All right, we are still trying to beat the heat. Some showers today and some of us hoping for a cooler day, but the extreme temperatures not letting up. For a check on conditions across the islands, we head over to meteorologist Greg Thompson. He's in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Canino, and a happy Monday evening, everybody. A very, very warm day around the islands. Temperatures getting up into the 90s once again with those feels-like temperatures in the triple digits. Right now, it is still very warm on the outside, 87 degrees with a few clouds. East-northeast winds at 7 miles per hour, and that is making it feel like 94 degrees for the skin temperature or your feels-like temperature. Temperatures around the island, it is still very warm across the chain of islands. 88 in Freeport, 87 in Marsh Harbour, Abaco. Look here, we pick up 89 in Alistown, Bimini. 88 in Great Harbour Key. Nicholstown, Andros, 86 over in Governor's Harbour. Central Bahamas, we are in the mid-80s there with 86 in Kemps Bay. 85s, Arthurstown, Cat Island, Georgetown, Exuma, and in Deadman's Key, Long Island. Coburn Town, San Salvador, you guys are 87 into the southeast Bahamas. 85s, Duncantown, Ragged Island, Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay, Abrams Bay, 86, also in Matthewtown, Inagua, and our neighbors, the Southeast Tricks and Caicos Islands, you are 86 at this hour as well. Satellite radar composite, nothing happening across the area. High pressure at the surface is dominating. We still have some lingering Saharan dust across the area. Some low-level moisture, maybe isolated shower or two popping up, one just between Andros and the capital here, Grand Bahama, you're getting into some action. But there's an upper level low spinning just to the south of Cuba. That's expected to move across that area and destabilize our atmosphere a little over the next couple of days. So we're looking for some increase in shower activity and maybe a little reprieve from this heat that we've been experiencing for the last couple of days. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
We are just getting started in our news, but when we come back, our work in progress segment takes us to Exuma, where water supply improvement is on tap. And the Bahamas set to join the Interparliamentary Union. Exactly how will we benefit? Our Sasha Lightborn explains. But first, authorities on Bimini now investigating the shooting of a 40-year-old man now in stable condition. When our news returns. A 40-year-old man from Baileytown, Bimini, nursing serious injuries tonight after he was shot early this morning. Allenstown police say the man was standing alone on the outside of a business in Baileytown around 1 o'clock this morning when he heard the sound of gunshots and later found he had been shot in the right thigh. The victim was taken to the local clinic where he was examined by the doctor who listed him in stable condition. He was expected to be airlifted to New Providence for further medical attention. Investigations continue. Well, nearly 2 weeks ago, we told you about the Water and Sewerage Corporation's plans to bring piped water to Little Exuma and Barrattari for the first time ever. Well, tonight, the minister responsible says the work doesn't stop there. Our Jamila Mizik has more in tonight's Work in Progress segment.
For Exuma's water supply is on the way for residents, as Works and Utilities Minister Alfred Sayre says residents and businesses throughout the Exuma chain will see upgrades as well.
The Georgetown desalination plant's production capacity was increased earlier this year from 330,000 imperial gallons per day to 450,000 imperial gallons per day to better serve the residents of eastern Exuma.
He adds that residents will soon see additional storage, pumping capacity, and standby power generation to improve the reliability of its supply for western Exuma.
These works for western Exuma will include the removal of the damaged storage tank at Steventon in the very near future. In the Exuma Keys, works have been completed to improve the corporation's storage capacity on Staniel Key, and distribution system extension are being planned for Black Point. Also, new standby generators have been installed on Staniel Key and Farmers Key to improve the reliability of those water supply systems.
Sayre says the corporation will also work with stakeholders to support the refurbishment of the Exuma wastewater treatment plant and improve the collection of wastewater from developments in Georgetown and Elizabeth Harbor. Reporting for Work in Progress for our news, I'm Jamila Mizik.
All right, thanks a lot, Jamila. Well, deepening democracy, strengthening parliament, and security, among other issues, topics being discussed by parliaments around the world. And for that reason, parliamentarians debated a resolution to join the Interparliamentary Union. Our Sasha Lightborn explains.
Strengthening Parliament, that's the overall goal of the resolution on the Interparliamentary Union, or IPU. The IPU is the global organization of national parliaments. Its primary purpose is to promote democratic governance, accountability, and cooperation among its members. The union has several objectives. Moving debate on the resolution was State Minister for the Public Service, Pia Glover Roll.
The first objective is to build effective parliaments through empowering parliaments and parliamentarians to operate freely. The second objective is to promote inclusive and representative parliaments, which includes a major focus on youth involvement as well as gender equality. The third objective is to support resilient and innovative parliaments through the adoption of new technologies.
In agreement with the resolution was opposition leader Michael Pintard, who applauded the efforts of the Public Service State Minister.
That we would be able to listen to, observe, and take on board best practices that exist in other jurisdictions and not always best practices that have been created by governments themselves, but by innovative leaders, parliamentarians, who may even be in opposition.
Now, Pintard says it's always good when legislation seeks to deepen democracy.
We know that one part of their agenda has been to ensure that they deepen democracy. And in order for us to deepen democracy, there is a need for transparency. All administrations in the Bahamas are well served when we are open about the things that we do on behalf of the Bahamian people.
The resolution was passed this afternoon. The House of Assembly will meet again on Wednesday. Reporting for Our News, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as a heat wave in the U.S. Southwest expected to expand east and could reach the tip of Florida. Plus, Twitter has been rebranded as X. Find out the phrase that will replace the existing tweet. And from the region, 2 people arrested suspected of smuggling Cubans into Spain. What authorities are alleging about an international smuggling ring when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. A heat wave is expected to expand from the southwest of the United States into central and eastern regions. Meteorologists say the hot weather will go as far as the southern tip of Florida. On Sunday, Phoenix, Arizona hit temperatures above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, while the border town of El Paso, Texas, has experienced a 38th consecutive day of temperatures above 100 degrees. Experts say heat waves have become more frequent, intense, and last longer because of climate change. Well, after years of hard work and huge investments to build their businesses, Afghan women on Monday were closing their beauty salons for good, a day before the Taliban's ban on salons for women comes into effect. Rachel Graham has more.
These salon employees are getting ready to shut up shop for what could be the last time. The Taliban's ban on beauty salons for women in Afghanistan comes into effect on Tuesday. An estimated 12,000 beauty businesses are likely to shutter. The ban will also put more than 60,000 women out of a job, adding further strain on an economy already in crisis. These beauticians are among those who invested large sums to get their businesses off the ground.
I'm experiencing one of the worst and darkest days of my life. Total, absolute disappointment. We started our work with lots of passion and enthusiasm, but unfortunately everything is over now.
When I heard this announcement, I got very upset. Day by day, the Taliban are trying to eliminate women from society somehow. They ban schools, universities, and the employment of women. Day by day, they are increasing the restrictions.
As well as beauty services, the salons provided many Afghan women with a safe, female-only space where they could meet outside their homes and without a male chaperone. Faced with rapidly diminishing options, dozens of women staged a rare protest against the ban. Footage shot by the protesters shows the Taliban using water cannons to break up the demonstration. The Morality Ministry said the ban on salons was based on an order from the supreme spiritual leader. Similar orders have led to the closure of high schools and universities to women and stopped many Afghan female aid staff from working. The Taliban administration say they respect women's rights in line with their interpretation of Islamic law and Afghan culture.
Well, Twitter has changed its brand and logo from its famous blue bird to an X. The logo has replaced the blue bird on the desktop version, but has not yet appeared on the mobile app. Twitter Inc. has also been rebranded to X Corp, and Elon Musk is replacing the phrase tweets with X's. Twitter's new chief executive, Linda Yaccarino, said the rebranding was an exciting and new opportunity. And Serbian police say they have arrested 2 people suspected of helping smuggle Cubans towards Spain as part of an international crime group. After a months-long investigation, the two Serbian citizens, along with 18 other suspects, were caught. They are accused of organizing the illegal transfer of at least 53 people into neighboring countries. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was July 24. Then in our news at 7:30, the Keith Bell saga continues with a clash of protesters. The FNM and COI renew calls for his resignation, with a former leader calling on government to act. And an our news alert, as health officials say STIs are on the rise in Grand Bahama, when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. It's time now to turn our events, or our spotlight that is, on events that shaped the day that was July 24th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history in 1930, Patrick Henry Burns died in Brooklyn, New York at the age of 60. Burns was an electrical engineer and became the first superintendent of the telegraph in the Bahamas. With his help, the Bahamas embarked on an ambitious journey to lay a 230-mile-long telegraph cable that linked us to the United States for several years. Then in 1969, Ulrich Alexander Fox was born in Toronto, Canada. Known professionally as Rick Fox, he is a former professional basketball player, actor, producer, businessman, and esports franchise owner. Born to Bahamian businessman Ulrich Fox Sr. and Canadian track and field athlete Diane Roberta Gerace, Fox moved to the Bahamas as a young child. He entered the 1991 National Basketball Association draft and played for the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers, winning 3 championships. He also acted in Hollywood films and series such as Blue Chips, Greenleaf, The Game, and Oz. Then in 2016, American sculptor James Richard Maston died in Miami, Florida. Maston was a world-renowned artist and sculptor who helped design and build the Loyalist Memorial Sculpture Garden on Green Turtle Key, Abaco, a national treasure since 1987. He also sculpted a bronze statue of St. Francis Xavier in front of the cathedral in 1988. And finally in 2022, a tragedy at sea claimed the lives of 17 suspected illegal migrants. Police reported the migrants were victims of an alleged failed smuggling attempt from New Providence. The 30-foot speedboat reportedly capsized some 7 miles off New Providence. 25 persons were rescued and were turned over to health officials for monitoring, however some were still missing. In an arraignment last month, the 4 men charged with manslaughter pleaded not guilty. All right, and some sad news to report tonight as our news can confirm the passing of retired police commissioner and former High Commissioner Paul Farquharson today. He was 74. The former police chief had a decorated career in law enforcement, serving for 40 years before his retirement in 2008. We take a look back at his life in this installment of the Our News series, Our Bahamians. Paul Farquharson was born January 10, 1949, in Burnt Ground, Long Island, to parents Ural Farquharson and Martha Knowles. He received his high school education from Glinton's All-Age School and started working from the young age of 14. On December 12, 1966, Farquharson enlisted in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Described as an aspiring officer, Paul was focused and diligent in his duties and continued his development, attending institutions in the evening. Mentoring by noted justice, the late Emmanuel Asadabe, and psychologist Dr. Timothy McCartney, reinforced his foundation and helped him climb steadily through the ranks. His career led to many high-profile assignments, including aide-de-camp to His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe, and His Grace, the Most Reverend and Right Honorable Dr. Robert Runcie. While on assignment at Government House for an extended period, Farquharson served as aide-de-camp to former Governor General, the late Sir Gerald Cash, from 1984 to 1988. His career continued to advance rapidly, attaining the rank of sergeant within his first 8 years of service, and reached the gazetted rank of assistant superintendent that year. He later achieved the rank assistant commissioner in July 1996, and 4 years later, in January of 2000, assumed the role of acting commissioner and immediately embarked on vigorous public relations campaigns. Farquharson took to the streets with his administrative team, community, and religious leaders, seeking ways to improve their service to the Bahamian people. He was confirmed as Commissioner of Police in November 2001. Farquharson held a strong vision for the force,
one that included weeding out corruption and protecting his officers while pursuing criminals. He is credited for the introduction of a number of policies that helped him achieve this goal and led to the effective running of the force. He is also credited for introducing a new school and visitor patrol unit and the urban renewal program. Within his decorated career, Farquharson received a Bachelor of Applied Science degree from Louisiana Baptist University and a diploma in applied criminology and police studies from the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. Numerous other professional certifications made him a distinguished and well-educated leader. After 40 years of service, Farquharson retired as police commissioner in 2008. On February 21st that same year, Britain's Queen Elizabeth II received Farquharson and his wife Sharon on his appointment as High Commissioner for the Bahamas in London in the private audience room at Buckingham Palace, a full-circle moment for the public servant whose career prepared him to shake hands with the Queen.
All right, and certainly may his soul rest in peace, and we'd like to wish send our condolences to the entire Farquharson family tonight. To watch that historical recap again, and for all of today's top stories, you can visit ournews.bs. That's going to do it for us in News at 7. Joining us now is Italia Hall with the latest headlines. Italia, what a legacy, right?
What a legacy.
I remember going to the police headquarters often and seeing his photo hanging up in the Paul Farquharson Center, which is aptly named after him, right? So, again, condolences to his family.
May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, Ken. While the Keith Bell saga continues with a clash of protesters, the FNM and the COI renew calls for his resignation. This as a former leader is calling on government to act. Here are your latest headlines. We will not rest. First tonight on our news live at 7:30, calls for the immigration minister's resignation intensify in a clash of protests. The Free National Movement and Coalition of Independents both renewing the call. Also, why the leader of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union is calling on the powers that be for a seat at the table to discuss what he calls unfair treatment. Plus, a law enforcement officer accused of rape released on $90,000 bail. And later, a Grand Bahama doctor says sexually transmitted infections are on the rise. Our news live at 7:30 starts in a moment. Thank you for joining us. I'm Italia Hall. The pressure is intensifying against Immigration Minister Keith Bell as two opposition parties are releasing documents that detail exactly what went down with the foreign nationals at the British Colonial Hotel, while Coalition of Independent leader Lincoln Bain saying they are preparing to take the government to court over the matter, while the FNM says they will not rest until Bell resigns. Bertha McDermott reports.
We are looking to take action against the government in the form of a judicial review, and we have already sought legal advice.
While both the FNM and COI are calling for Immigration Minister Keith Bell to resign, the COI is looking to take the matter a step further. Bain releasing this report from Chief Immigration Officer Chad Adams to Deputy Immigration Director Faustine Major-Smith, detailing what happened at the British Colonial Hotel. It ends saying, as you are aware, I contacted you and your instructions were to have all subjects arrested and detained at the Carmichael Road Detention Center. However, I would have received a phone call from the director to hold on taking persons into custody. The report also revealed that out of the 65 foreigners, only 3 were able to produce proper documentation, leaving the question of how did the rest get in the country. The coalition also revealing this voice memo of what appears to be Bell leaving a voicemail to Assistant Immigration Director Faustine Major-Smith.
The acting Prime Minister has directed that we do not proceed against those Chinese at the Hilton Hotel. They got some BIA approval, and so we indicated to just allow them owner to verify everything tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the FNM had a press conference late Sunday evening, also producing a memo written by Director of Immigration Katura Ferguson to Permanent Secretary Cecilia Strand about Bell's interference in the department. It reads, I find it very disconcerting when directives of this nature are continuously received. This type of action is demoralizing to the immigration officers in particular who are trying to do their jobs mandated by law. She also revealed that it was a security breach, adding they do not have any idea who the remaining individuals were or how they got in the country.
How long they were in the Bahamas? Who were these persons? Who facilitated them coming in? Were they being smuggled to the north or elsewhere?
Pintard also alleged a host of irregularities with granting work permits, including approvals being given to some while in custody and some who made no applications. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis using his time in the House of Assembly today to encourage Prime Minister Philip Davis to relieve Immigration Minister Keith Bell of his duties. The Free National Movement has called for the resignation of the Immigration Minister with respect to two matters, one related to citizenship and the other with work permits. Dr. Minnis says it's time for Bell to go.
The sensitive work of immigration requires someone else as a minister. The current minister may be better assigned to a new and less demanding portfolio. And sometime today, we would help Prime Minister in making such decision. Minister Bell's actions are a reflection on the Prime Minister and his government.
Dr. Minnis says the Immigration Minister's alleged actions don't only affect him, but the country at large. Here's why.
Which can be not only detrimental to the government, but detrimental to our country. Because people, not only here in the Bahamas, but people throughout the world is watching and listening. I've said to the Prime Minister on numerous occasions, and I will say it again, that as Prime Minister, one has to make decisions, very difficult decisions, that they may not necessarily like, but those decisions are made in the interest to protect the office of the Prime Minister. That office must be protected.
The Bahamas Electrical Workers Union sending a stern warning to the powers that be, following a number of concerns at Bahamas Power and Light. In an interview today, the union president says they've been waiting for government to intervene, but to no avail, adding that the time for talk is over and the union is now ready for action.
No one can keep me quiet. Okay? No one can muzzle me. My steps are ordered by the Lord.
Those strong words coming from President of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union, Kyle Wilson, who says the union is giving management 30 days to respond to the union's concerns at Bahamas Power and Light.
And in many of the out islands, they're working with inferior equipment to no equipment. In Kidd Island, a staff member had to take a tire off of his vehicle to put on a BPL vehicle to be able to carry out jobs. The union is very responsible. We're not just out there willy-nilly putting these issues forward. I have personally tried to meet and would have met. I would have written to the CEO over a week ago with some concerns to issues as far as increments, that it's not being honored as far as the industrial agreement.
He says he also tried to meet with the CEO of the company to discuss some of the issues, and as it relates to the recent fire at BPL's plant in North Andros.
3 weeks later, and no one is still yet to update me on what's happening in North Andros and how they're going to take care of the persons, how they're going to look over the affairs of the employees. No one has still said anything, but they come and put out their PR statements and show no respect to the union.
He believes the union's concerns are falling on deaf ears and claims he had a meeting scheduled with the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Works, but says that did not happen.
The security is going to tell me, dressed in my union shirt with my name on it, everything, oh, you have to go outside. You can't stand on the inside. That has never, ever happened. So I'm trying to figure out, why are you running to the inside? I'm telling him I'm here to see the PS. Oh, he isn't here yet. You have to go outside. So I messaged the PS. He's saying that, oh, I'm here, but I got to leave. Come on, man. What kind of games y'all playing?
This was his response when asked what is the union's plan of action if there's no response to the issues within 30 days.
Let's wait and see.
All right, well, a Royal Bahamas Defense Force officer accused of rape has been freed on a $9,900 emergency bail. Prosecutors allege that 41-year-old Lieutenant Valdez Lopez sexually assaulted a 28-year-old woman on July 11th. Lopez was not required to enter a plea to the charge when he appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley. Lopez returns to court on October 19th to receive voluntary bill of indictment papers. As a condition of bail, he has to surrender his travel documents and is forbidden from coming within 100 feet of his alleged victim. Warm conditions outside the Our News studios this evening to start off the work week. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with a first look at weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and welcome everybody for our first quick check on conditions outside our studios and around the islands. It's very warm on the outside. Temperatures are in the upper 80s, 87 degrees with a few clouds. Winds out of the east-northeast at 7 miles per hour, and factoring the relative humidity, it's making it feel like a very warm 94 degrees on the outside. Temperatures are actually radar and satellite composite showing quiet conditions across the area. That surface high pressure remains in charge of our weather, but we still have some lingering Saharan dust, and we have some low-level moisture coming up from the south. That's courtesy of an upper level low. It's going to be spinning and moving across the area over the next couple of days. So we're looking for a bump up in our shower and thunderstorm activity through that period. That's a quick check on conditions around the island. Stick with us. Look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, sexually transmitted infections on the rise in Grand Bahama. The latest stats are straight ahead. And later, many remembering the life and legacy of former Police Commissioner Paul Farquharson. The story when Our News continues.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
Doctors Hospital is reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Now to this news alert. Some shocking information from Grand Bahama, as it was recently revealed that the amount of sexually transmitted infections on the northern island is increasing rapidly this year compared to 2022. Grand Bahama Health Services gynecologist Dr. Sadabo confirmed with Our News that Grand Bahama has recorded some 28 cases, which include 6 cases of gonorrhea, 6 cases of chlamydia, 7 cases of syphilis, and 9 cases of HIV. Now, recently, a free pap smear and STI screening event was held on the island to address the growing trend. And now to some sad news to report tonight, as Our News can confirm the passing of retired police commissioner and former High Commissioner Paul Farquharson today. He was 74. The former police chief had a decorated career in law enforcement, serving for 40 years before his retirement in 2008. The same year, he was appointed High Commissioner to London and held numerous other posts. Parliamentarians sending condolences to his family and remembered his life today. Among them, Golden Gates MP Pia Glover-Roll, who recalled the support he pledged ahead of and following her election victory. Opposition leader in Marcos City MP Michael Pintard also taking a moment to remember.
Mr. Farquharson is a great supporter. I met him on the campaign trail officially as a member of the Golden Gates community. Of course, I'd known him before then. And he pledged his support to me. He showed up and he gave me that support. And he also pledged that he would get as much support in Golden Gates because he wanted to see me as his MP. When I became the Member of Parliament, his support continued in a tangible way.
We also wish Mr. Deputy to extend condolences to the family of our former Commissioner of Police, Paul Farquharson, who, like so many that serve in our armed forces, served with distinction. And we want the family to know that you are in our thoughts and prayers.
All right, and condolences to the entire Farquharson family from all of us here at Our News. If you want to learn more about his life and legacy, head on over to ournews.bs for the Our Bahamians episode dedicated to his life. Well, a giant in the religious community is being remembered by his religious colleagues after he died suddenly over the weekend. Our Joshua Williams has their tributes. Let's take a look.
The Christian family in the Bahamas is mourning the passing of Reverend Dr. Lloyd Smith.
Lloyd, who was the serving president of the Bahamas Baptist Missionary and Educational Convention, allegedly collapsed in a bathroom at his church during a service and was later rushed to hospital where he died. Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernandez says despite being successful outside the church, Smith was fully devoted to ministry.
This is someone who took the work of Christ seriously, that he was willing to sacrifice it all just to lift up the name of Christ. I'm thankful for his legacy, thankful for his leadership. Led the largest denomination in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, privileged to call him a friend.
Also paying tribute was Zion Baptist Church Pastor Reverend T.G. Morrison. He says while Smith's untimely passing is a shock to the Baptist community, the church will press on.
I don't think we have had a sitting president in recent times dying, so I think it is certainly a blow for the Baptist community, but we are people of faith, and we know that the God who has inflicted this blow is the God who has the healing balm.
Dr. Smith's death ends his period as pastor of the Mount Horeb Baptist Cathedral in Sandy Port, where he served for 21 years. Morrison and Fernando leave these encouraging words to his family and congregation.
God will not leave or abandon them. He has promised to be a husband to the husbandless, a father to the fatherless, and whatever impact the Reverend Dr. Lloyd would have made in one's life, let his life speak ultimately for God.
Our prayers are with you, Linda Smith, First Lady. Our prayers are with you, Mount Horeb. Know that God has him in his bosom.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
The National Flag Football Championships concluded in Grand Bahama over the weekend, and the Bahamas returns from Costa Rica with some hardware. Stay right there, our sports is coming right up.
When our news comes back from the break, temperatures heating up globally as we dive even deeper into the summer months. Greg is back with your extended weather forecast right after this quick break.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We have some new flag football national champs, and the Bahamas track and field teams return after an impressive showing in Costa Rica. Here's Tej Adderley with a check on sports. Tej?
Thanks, Italia. Hello, good evening. I'm Tej Adderley. This is a new week, but we get the same old sports. The National Flag Football Championships were played in Grand Bahama over the weekend. Let's meet our new champs. The Bahamas National Flag Football Championship wrapped up on Saturday in Grand Bahama. The hometown squad swept the men's and women's division with the out-to-sea Lady Tritons beating the Chiro Contractors Lady Avengers 3-0 in overtime to win the women's championship, and the Sky's the Limit Rough Boys beating the ELDC Lions 25-21. Chantal Adderley was your women's MVP, and Walter Hanna Jr. was named MVP on the men's side.
But we knew that coming down to the overtime, hey, we got one opportunity. We know we're good for one. And we brought it out. First and only attempt. Made that catch, made that touchdown, and sealed the deal.
Congratulations goes out to our new National Flag Football champs. The NACAC track and field meet concluded in Costa Rica. Team Bahamas came home with some heavy baggage thanks to all those medals they won. Team Bahamas put on an exceptional performance at the North American, Central American, and Caribbean track and field under 18 and under 23 meet in Costa Rica with 23 medals in hand. The Bahamas won 7 gold, 9 silver, and 7 bronze medals, good for 4th overall behind the USA, Jamaica, and Canada. There are a couple of notable finishes. Kenny Moxie won gold medals in the boys under 18 decathlon and the pole vault. Keyshawn Strawn won gold in the javelin. The Bahamas under 18 squad of Zion Miller, Zion Shepard, Nia Wright, and Alexis Roberts won the mixed 4x400 meter relay. Miller and Shepard also came first and third respectively in the under 18 400 meter race. Now, those are just a few of the impressive performances down there at NACAC. There are too many to mention here. Congratulations to all of our young athletes. Before we go, the Caribbean Senior Volleyball Championships began yesterday in Suriname. Our women picked up their first win against the host team. Follow our socials and our website for the latest news on that. That'll do it for sports today. I'm Tage Adderley.
90 degrees in the capital today, but there are a few showers in the forecast. Will it help to cool things down? Well, Greg is back with your extended forecast when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. We're at the start of the work week and temperatures are heating up. Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for our final check of weather. Quiet across areas, the surface high pressure remains in charge of our weather. It's continuing to provide us with some quiet conditions, but very warm temperatures as we have the lack of clouds and the shower activity. We have an upper level low that's spinning just to the south of Cuba. That's going to be moving across our area, helping to destabilize our atmosphere. So we're looking for an increase in some shower activity as well as some thunderstorms that could give us a little bit of a break from the heat. But those 90-degree temperatures will remain with us over the next couple of days with triple-digit indices. Tropics quiet. Dawn is now gone. It's post-tropical, racing off towards the north and east and away from any landmass, actually. Should be headed towards the England area. We have a couple of active tropical waves. National Hurricane Center watching the first one that's approaching the Leeward and the Windward Islands. That has a medium to high chance for formation, but will continue to track towards the west. There's also a couple of tropical waves moving off the African coast that we'll continue to watch over the next several days. Taking a look at our forecast map, a couple of isolated showers expected in the forecast early, but by Tuesday, we expect those showers to increase as that upper level low brings some moisture across the area, and then by Wednesday, more showers in the forecast as we approach the beginning of the middle of the week. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Your winds will be easterly at 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. You can expect your low tide at 7:16 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, as that upper level low or upper level disturbance moves across area, increasing some shower activity Tuesday and Wednesday, a little bit of a break on Thursday, but more showers in the forecast Friday, and then by the end of the week into the beginning of next week, we expect high pressure to build back across us and provide us with some very warm temperatures once again. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night and have a great day, everybody.
All right, thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.